Hey everybody, welcome back to Brothers of the Arcana. I am Alex Aldea.
I am David Ferrigno.
And our guest today is...
Bryan Bowden.
Bryan Bowden.
Bryan Bowden, an experienced UFO, cryptid, paranormal researcher, and investigator. Bryan is a remote viewer, psychic, and medium, who is a member of the International Remote Viewers Association. Since 1977, Bryan traveled the world in pursuit of the truth. His experiences in the paranormal realm cover the gambit of the goblin universe, from encounters with Sasquatch, Dogman, mystical beasts, spirits, and several UFO experiences, each being the driving force in his quest for more knowledge and ultimately answers. Bryan is the founder and director of the New York State UFO Project, New York State Sasquatch Organization, and the New York State Dogman Project. Bryan is the Region 5 director of the North American Dogman Project and is the North American correspondent for Outer Limits magazine. He is the co-host of Inside the Goblin Universe Radio and creator and co-host of the critically acclaimed Beyond the Realm radio show. He is a published author, musician, and artist.
And breathe.
Here we are. Perfect.
Yeah, it's a long bio, and I just do what I do.
You do. You do what
what I do. That's it.
You go with your bad self. And
I was with one of your guests the other day. We're at an outing, golf outing.
okay, so you were with Eric Mattson from
Yeah.
our first podcast episode,
Fellow brother.
which we're super psyched to have.
Oh, that was a great episode.
We've gotten great feedback on that, by the way.
You're getting really, really great. I haven't put my comments in because I just finished watching it last night. Having a couple of kids kills you with that, but it really was a great episode, really informative.
Thank you.
And you guys I loved it. So I'm looking forward to 2 and 3 and 4 and.
So
Following on.
I heard some interesting things in that bio, and I gotta jump right in and just ask
Jump.
Bryan, what's the deal with Bigfoot? Is he real? And if so,
100%.
where is he?
100% real. Growing up, I grew up where it was the Pacific Northwest. The Patty film, right? Which is, there are people debating, oh, it's fake, it's a costume. You can't, you know the movie business. We didn't have the technology to do that type of silicone-based costuming where you can actually see the muscle mass movement. Okay? So I believe Patty is 100% real. I believe the film is 100% real. And when you're growing up on the East Coast, there's you get the In Search Of and all these shows. It wasn't that much stuff out like there is today. Like there's Ghost Hunters and Expedition Bigfoot and whatever. So I've hit up Pacific Northwest. But actually, Bigfoot is very prevalent on the East Coast, from Canada all the way down to the south. Appalachian Trail. Pennsylvania's huge. Jersey has Bigfoot in the north portion of Jersey, big time. New York State has it, all of them have it. And I've had several encounters, like really close encounters. One was no more than 4 inches away from one of their faces when I was a little kid. And then we did a day-night investigation upstate New York, and that was a depends moment, as I like to say. Pitch black on the top of this lake, and there was only 2 ways out. One was in a nuclear radioactive waterway pond, and the other was trying to figure out in the middle of the dark. But that was no more than 20 feet from me. So they're real. And what's interesting about that is a lot of people think Bigfoot's flesh and blood, right? I thought it was. I thought maybe Gigantopithecus, the missing link or whatever it is. And I'm like, cool. All right, whatever. When we had this experience in 2015, we were at this lake. I can't tell you where the lake is because I got to keep that private. It's not that far upstate New York. It was 2 miles to get to the top.
Why do you have
of
to
the
keep
lake.
it private? Just out of curiosity.
It's one of our favorite spots to go.
Oh, okay.
And when you reveal too much stuff, it gets bombarded by people and they do foolish things.
I see.
So I'm not only there for answers, I'm there to preserve whatever this creature is. I don't want any harm to come to it. I don't feel, it's still an 8, 9, 10, 12 foot giant of a bipedal, sorry about my ringing on my bracelets right here, bipedal cryptid. And to give you an idea of how you should be fearful of it, when Michael Jackson had Bubbles the chimp, which was small, that chimpanzee at the age he had it could rip your head right out of your body.
It has the strength of over 10 men.
So take that and multiply it to 9 feet tall or higher, even 7 feet, and imagine what it can do.
Sure.
There are reports of Bigfoot ripping the head off of a bull, there's just some crazy stuff out there. But in this experience, and I'll keep this hand down so I don't ding, ding, ding. Sorry about that. Because Alex is looking at me like, take the freaking things off, which I can. We walked in, we hiked in. There's 2 ways around this lake. It's 2 miles to the top of it where we were. One is a decent trail, the other one's a goat trail. You're not getting through it. And it was pitch black. It's just off the Appalachian Trail. So I'll give you an idea. And the Appalachian Trail really is almost like a highway for these Bigfoot and other cryptids to travel. And we're having this experience, and at one point, we get these whoops. Whoop, whoop, and then the third whoop is at the other end of the lake. And the cadence of it is whoop, whoop, whoop. There's no breaks, there's no change. And in order for that thing to go from point A to point B, 2 miles out the other end of the lake, that's when my past history of studying physics and astrophysics and astronomy comes in and go, the only way you can do that is if you open up a portal, step into it, and come out where you want.
Now, hang on. How did you know there weren't just 3 of them?
Oh, there was more than this Bigfoot that was here. It was, let's use some demos. We're at the top of the lake, okay? And
I didn't get that.
thank you.
Try again.
No, thank you, Siri. So we're at the top of the lake. There she goes. Around here, okay? And at this part of the lake, it kind of like gets a little bit tighter. Mm-hmm. And there's, that's probably about 100 yards away from us. We're hearing rock knocks over there. So we hear some rock knocks closer to us on the opposite where we are. Then we start hearing tree knocks. And all while this is taking place, there's this tremendous amount of pressure building in the air. Mm. And some will say, oh, it's infrasound. And it very well could be. But it felt like, have you ever been out in the summer and you felt the rain was coming? Negative ions, you could feel the pressure building. That's what it was like. It was unnerving. Excuse me. And it just got intense and more intense. And tree knock. We weren't moving. There was me. 10 feet next to me was my friend Al. 10 feet from us was my another friend Bill. And at one point, we didn't move. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So before we got the whoops, where Bill was sitting, we heard something heavy and felt it walking on the leaves. Kind of like I've been to places where they had carnivals or circus outdoors and you can feel the elephants walking. Mm-hmm. The next thing you know, we get a bluff charge. Bill gets up. He's running, pitch black. But buddy grabs him, stay in your ground. I go to his right, and all I have is a machete. I don't have a gun license in New York State. So I pull out the machete. I'm ready to go. It's fight or flight. So we turn on the lights. Nothing comes forward. We investigate it. I mean, it was literally right next to us. We go sit down again. We get the whoops. We get a tree knock and a rock knock. Then we get a whoop, 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 whoop. That, in my opinion, was a scout, the main one that was there. There's 3 of them, because there was 3 of us, take the long way home. They're not moving. And the reason why I say it went in, some people say, well, how come there wasn't another one at the other end of the lake? And I'm like, I'm telling you, where this was, and the trees, and you could not move over there. So I felt there was a family coming over. And they were like, is it safe to go? Because they knew we were there, because they could smell you. And he said, no, they're not moving. Take the long way home. And he went whoop, whoop, and went down to the end. the lake.
Oh, so you're saying you guys weren't prepared to move at that point?
Oh, we weren't
figured
moving.
that, and then
We were not moving whatsoever. We were we're there to investigate this. There's a lot of reports of high strangeness in this area. One of the guys there lives close by. He's had other encounters with coyotes and Sasquatch-based type of stuff. There's the quintessential tree bands, stars, inverted stars, in-ground stars. There's a whole bunch of things that literally point to Bigfoot being there.
So, based on your research and experiences, how many of these Bigfoots would you say are in existence?
big feet.
Big feet.
Big feet,
And
Bigfoot, big feet.
to your other point, are these interdimensional beings? Are they actually crossing planes, or are they here with us at all times?
So I think these creatures have been in existence since the beginning of time. I think they reside both interdimensionally as well as flesh and blood. They have the ability to almost active camouflage themselves. And I'll explain. Let's get into it, because you're gonna have to understand it. There's some people they call this woo, what I'm talking about. And it's not woo, it's basically science. We haven't gotten up to it. And there's a friend of mine, Ron Moorhead, he did the Sierra sounds. And the closest thing to those whoops is what he recorded in the 70s up in the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. Okay? When people have Bigfoot encounters, they always get the fuzzy image, right? Or they get unless they're using real film. There's an importance between real and digital. Mm-hmm. These creatures have an ability to change their physical and molecular shape. And in the conversion process, they draw energy from the atmosphere where they are, or if you're out in the woods and you got your camera and your cell phone, they'll draw it right from it. They convert their energy into a different form. Now, a lot of times there's lights associated with Bigfoot. Oh, there was UFOs. There was this red orb, and no. What you're seeing is the physical Bigfoot changing into an electronic form of an orb or a light. And a lot of times you'll see a spark before that happens, because when you convert energy from one to another source, there's always a spark off. And then once they're in that form of light or the molecular structure where they're kind of glowing off of that, then they can actually go interdimensional from that point.
Let me just take it back for a second here. So
Sure.
There's a couple of theories about Bigfoot, right? So you say he's been here since the beginning of time.
Oh, yeah, I believe so.
One of the possibilities was that, and if you buy the whole Zachariah Sitchin Anunnaki myth, which we can get into
we'll get into
later,
that.
yeah. So that it could have said that we would have all been big feet had not some of us been uplifted by the Anunnaki and turned into Cro-Magnon man and Homo erectus and all that kind of stuff. The other one was that some of the big feet, this was more of the Terence McKenna idea, which we talked about in the second podcast idea, where if you eat enough mushrooms and those psychedelic mushrooms act upon your brain, that might change you. That might change you to whatever. So some interesting ideas there in terms of what 100%. Their origins might have been versus our origins, or how we may have somewhat cross sections.
Okay, so not to discredit Stitchin or the other.
Sure.
Here's what I always, this is my go-to to try to explain this. We all know what an octopus is, right?
Yes.
Okay, if you didn't know anything scientifically and you came across an octopus and you threw your cell phone or whatever out there, that octopus can change its physical shape, its texture, and everything about it to mimic that shape of that object. And it's super intelligent. And every scientist that has ever discussed octopus say there is no logical reason that creature should be on this planet. So I believe these, I don't believe these are part of the missing link. I don't actually believe that this is part of the Anunnaki and the Anunnaki experiment with Homo sapiens and chimps. I believe this is its own entity being. These are the beings, or what would be considered, I'm not saying they're great and they're angels. I'm not saying they're demons. But this is when they do the Holy Michael prayer. Prince of all evil that has prowled the earth since the beginning of time, basically. These are one of the elements that have been here. There's Bigfoot. There's something they call a dogman. Think of Bigfoot, or better yet, the movie Van Helsing, the werewolves. That's what we're talking about. And there's 7 varieties of them, variations of them, from what looks like a baboon Bigfoot-ish all the way up to a soldier, which is just something you don't want to see in person, but I have. It's literally just like the werewolves in the movies. They're not metamorphosis, they're born into it. It's something they have an innate ability to do.
Does the whole idea.
They do that. They do the transformation. They convert from physical body into interdimensional, in my opinion, as well. I can't prove this because I don't have a physical Bigfoot or a dogman. But I will guarantee, and I'm not like your previous guest Eric with an NDA or whatever, but I've talked to people who have texted me and contacted me from 000, 000, and 4 more zeros. And they're like, I'm not telling you who I am, but we have these things. And the U.S. government has been working with them, Bigfoot, Dogman, other strange cryptids, because not only the brute strength of this creature and the ability to rip you to shreds, but the ability to do active camouflage like the predator, because when you can molecularly change yourself, you can camouflage yourself. And you draw energy off of it. They want to know how you're doing it. And I will guarantee you there is a ton of them in these labs, and some old guys like, yeah, Bigfoot exists. I got 3 of them in my lot.
But do people treat these things, number one, as animals? In other words, are they, obviously they're sentient, but can they speak? Can they communicate on any particular level with us? Or
They Okay, so again, let's go back to the Sierra Sounds. Ron Moorhead.
I don't know what that is, so can you?
Ron Moorhead is a gentleman out of the West Coast. The Sierra Sounds was recorded at like a hunting camping site way up high in the Sierras. Okay? You have to take a horse there. It's a couple-day journey by horse. You're not getting up there without it. And there was a 27-inch footprint there. I mean, 27-inch print of your foot. Okay? That's pretty big. I mean, you're talking about a 7, 8, 9 foot creature.
That's bigger than your foot.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So someone I knew very well was Daryl Dawkins, Chocolate Thunder from Philadelphia 76ers. He had a huge foot. It's bigger than him, and Daryl was close to 7 feet tall. So you're talking about something that is 9 to 12 feet tall, well over 1,000 pounds, pure muscle and energy, and it was vocalizations are going. He recorded this. He took it to somebody who works for deciphers, I forgot the name of the actual term, different languages, and they said, this is definitely a language. They are communicating with each other, then there is intelligence behind it. There's a lot of, monkey chatter or samurai chatter, but there was cadence to it. They were communicating to each other.
Almost like whale sounds kind of thing?
No,
where
whale's a
they
little
have-
bit more high-pitched.
Okay.
But
I meant the same back and forth or
Right.
echolocation like bats or that kind of thing.
More vocal, more, these creatures live and exist in the wilderness. They're amazing mimics. They literally have been caught mimicking humans. Help, help, like a baby crying, whatever. Some of them to lure you into the woods. Some of them to keep you away. Some of them will just grunt it out to you, but there's also the people who reported them telepathically communicating with you. So that's communicating without your mouth. And it's just, again, I have not had a telepathic communication with any of these creatures. But they do give off infrasound. They do give off sounds. There is chatter. There is howls. There is all that in a bag of chips that come with them. And when you hear them, big screams. I mean, they're very vocal. It reverberates off your chest. When they did that whoop, 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 okay. You know the song Ace of Spades with Lemmy? Boom, 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 okay, and it vibrates. It was reverberating off your chest. He was no more than 20 25 feet from us. And it was insane. And actually, to go back to that experience I had in 2015, after it was saying, whoop, 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 take the long way home, and we didn't move, I'm sitting there and I hear this big crash coming through the woods. Like, what the hell is that? And then I get a thud, boom, roll. I felt it, hits my chair, pushes me off 10 feet. Big rock was thrown at me. And this thing is accurate. If he wanted to kill me, he would have killed me. He was just like, I hate you. Get out of here. It's my home. And that's what it was like. He was just pissed off and frustrated that we didn't leave.
Mm.
So as I'm doing that, I'm going to take these off so Alice doesn't kill me at this point. Sorry. Jesus.
I just don't want to.
No, I know. Just so you know, I have an iron bracelet on the left hand, and this is copper. Copper is very good for your healing.
Put it on your other.
No. I play guitar with that hand, so it's massive guitar, so that's why I put it to the left.
Oh, I see.
But I highly recommend, go on Etsy, support a local artisan, or if you get somebody local, put iron on your left hand, left wrist. It is there to protect you from bad luck and evil. It's been used since the beginning of time.
That's helpful.
Even with The Exorcist, because this is the receiving hand. This is a giving hand, this is receiving, so this prevents evil from getting in within you, or harm or evil or darkness.
Now take that one off too, because it's making noise.
I'm just gonna keep my arm like this.
Or just take your watch off if you want, whatever you want.
Jesus Christ.
I know, right?
Watch this.
Don't swear. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
I have
so
no problems with Jesus. I love him as a brother. Yeah.
Okay. So what are we?
We were with Bigfoot at
Well,
this point.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to also circle back. You didn't answer. So how many big feet would you posit exist, and some of these other creatures, would you say there's a large volume of them, or are they more unique?
No, I think there is a large one. Bigfoot. Okay, if you have deer for the most part, or you can have fish, turtles, but a lot of deer, game, you're going to have Bigfoot in the area. And I believe they work off of pods or clans, and that's with a C, not with a K. No, you got to make this clear, because people they don't listen. Most people don't pay attention, and usually you have a mother and a father, and then some young, and then after they get to a certain point, they leave. My opinion is they leave the young that are ready to mate, be it a male or a female, in the same area that they've been operating out of. So talk about their hunting area, and I believe the hunting area could be easily 1,000 square miles. And they go away and they leave their oldest son or daughter there at a point where they're supposed to meet and mate and start their own family. And there's tons of them. I think you have tens of thousands, if not more. They're really good at camouflage. There's a friend of mine, his name's Jay Bachochin. He's a filmmaker and director. He did a film called Finding Jay. He's out of Wisconsin. I highly recommend it. And in the episode, they're looking for Bigfoot. And at one point, I'm watching this, and they heard a rock knock, and they were hit by a stone. That's what Bigfoot does. They want you out of the area, they'll start throwing stones at you, and they're deadly accurate. So they heard something, they heard the stone come, someone got hit. Like, okay, they're here, and they're looking, and you see this branch that's hanging there, and then the next thing you know, the branch bends a little bit, and they're looking around, and it's right in front of them. It's no more than 20 feet from them. And I said, Jay, you had a Bigfoot right there in front of you. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, watch the branch in that section. I gave him the segment. I said, you had a Bigfoot that was in active camouflage, kind of like the Predator,
I'm not going to do that. Kind of like the Predator.
and it was playing with you, and it was resting on that branch. And he goes, holy crap. And it came down. Another guy I know is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Russ, who does Expedition Bigfoot, I think it is, or Finding Bigfoot, or whichever the one that is not with Matt Moneymaker. I don't even pay attention to him anymore. And in that, you see what I'm talking about. You see a physically shaped Bigfoot in FLIR, right? That's the heat sensing. and you can't get past that. And you watch that physical shape go from like a 7-8 foot bipedal something to like these little dots, and then it fades out. Because you're still catching the energy and essence on that.
I sort of buy this and I sort of don't. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me because a lot of the stuff I've seen, the energetic stuff that you're talking about, I've seen it in Tai Chi. I've seen it in energy. I've seen it in meditation. I've seen it in medicine journeys and a bunch of other stuff. I don't know. Dave, how do you feel about it?
I don't know. I mean, for me personally, when you talk about this, I almost feel like, is there a cross between, obviously the paranormal realm then, when you're getting into demonic spirits and, I posit, would these things be hunting? Because obviously there was that special where all these hikers and hunters and everybody's gone missing in the woods, and it's like, are they
Missing
being
411,
captured?
David Pilatus.
So like like in life, right? You have good people, majority hopefully good people, and then you always have bad people. Okay, in this community, you have creatures that are just, they're good. They're fine. They're just doing their thing. Leave us the hell alone. We're going to stay away from you. They know about man. They know how violent we are. They know we carry guns. They don't really want to have an interaction with you. But because they can sense your energy and your aura, which you give off the vibration frequency, they know if you're good, bad, or indifferent and what you are. They know what you're up to. The minute you pull into their area and you're going out for a hike, like I could take you to a place. I'm more than happy to take you guys.
I'd love to go.
And yeah, we'll figure out a date or time we'll go up. We have to park a while away because we can't get caught in the place because it closes at dusk, but you can be on the Appalachian Trail. And they know when you're coming in there, oh, they're good. Their energy, their chi, their whatever you want to call it is good. Then you have a couple of them that are just not nice and very vicious. And just think of it this way, if you have a teenage kid, boy or girl, I'm gonna go with the boys. I remember what I was like. You're at that age where they're leaving you behind, and you gotta, I gotta copulate and whatever. They're gonna be a lot more aggressive, and there are gonna be some that do take people, and they're gonna be there's even talk about, we'll call it cannibalism to a certain degree because we don't know if they're part human or not. People do go missing.
Wait, do they take people to copulate with or to eat?
All the above.
Okay.
But I'm just saying it's not all the time. There's some other stuff weird that's going on with 411. There's UFOs involved in it.
So we're going to talk about that too.
Right.
So there are some nasty ones out there that will go after you. I mean, my first experience was in summer camp, northeastern Connecticut, about the 78-9 era. And I woke up, I smelled like skunk. I'm used to it, summer camp. Lights are out in the bunk. And I'm like, okay, my counselors are back from town. And I'm about to get up to go to the bathroom. And there's a big window 3 feet by 3 feet by me. I'm on the double decker. And I see this, looks like a giant gorilla in my window. And it's doing this. It's looking around. You can see the brow and the nose and dark eyes, pitch black eyes. And I'm like, what the hell is that? So I quickly lay down and I just move. I don't move. But after about 45 minutes, I'm like, I'm either going to pee on Billy Carmen, who's below me, or I got to get to that restroom. So I pull my feet back very slowly, and I eventually slide down and I do a dog crawl all the way to the restroom, passing the door that's right next to that window. And I'm praying to God this thing doesn't open the door. Go into the restroom, and whatever, come back, it's gone. That head was no more than, and I kid you not, that far away from me. But it was in shadow enough, about 3 a.m, because you see the clock. That was a giant head. Now, me being a kid around that time, I forgot how old I was, very, very young. I'm like, I'm not thinking Bigfoot here. Bigfoot's Pacific Northwest. That's what Leonard Nimoy said with the turtleneck on, right?
Right.
So, bunch of years back, I said, you know what? Let me go take a look. So, right next to my camp is a lake called Crystal Lake.
Wait, in Jersey?
No, it's in Connecticut.
No.
Oh, in Connecticut.
Everybody knows Crystal Lake,
Yes.
Camp Crystal Lake.
Right.
Because the people that made that movie, Friday the 13th, came to my camp to make it. And my camp owner said, no, we don't want the bad press. Stupid. They could have paid for a lot. Bad mistake on their part. So they went down to another camp in Connecticut. Okay?
I thought Friday the 13th was filmed in Jersey.
No. In Connecticut or by Camp Kenmont or Kent or something to that effect.
Well,
So the whole point is, that lake which butts up against my camp is no more than 200 yards from the entrance to my camp. There's some woods that go there. It's a reservoir. So I look up on the internet, Bigfoot sightings, northwestern Connecticut. The same year I had my sighting in that bunk, there were 3 sightings in the area, 2 of which were taken right there at that lake off the road. 2 different people saw a bipedal hairy man cryptid or a wild man, because that's what they used to call him over there. And on the opposite side of the mountain where my camp is a dam for the Mad River. It's a makeout spot. And a couple was there doing their thing, and they said they saw an 8-foot hairy wild man go past their car, and they got the hell out of there.
Wow.
So that just validated what I'm saying. But that whole area, which is really close to the area in New York State, where we do a lot of Bigfooting, because we have a lot of interactions with them there.
Question.
Yes.
Gilgamesh, the original story of humanity. In Gilgamesh, there was Enkidu, who was his best friend and a wild man. So that just brought to mind, so you're talking about wild men. Clearly, that could be a reference to Sasquatch being
100%.
around at that time and being somewhat associated with, which would mean on some level, because people weren't really too surprised with Enkidu running around at that time, that there might have been more of a relationship between humans and Sasquatch, let's say, at that time.
Well, Native Americans or indigenous people around the world have had a relationship with this. They know it's the guardian of the forest or the woods or whatever it is. They also know that some of their people go missing because they may be very cannibalistic. Okay, so there's tons of stories talking about them. In Gilgamesh, you got to understand something. It's totally different society, totally different world. This may have been like, oh, he's really hairy. Oh, like whatever. They may be related to that. They may be a part of that whole tale. I do not believe, like some people believe. I'm a strong believer in God. I'm very spiritual. I don't conform to religion. But I do not believe these things are demons. And I don't believe they're the Nephilim. This is what people say. Oh, they're the Nephilim. They're products of the Nephilim, the giants, and no, I don't. These have always existed. They've always been here. Okay? In Gilgamesh, it's totally different. There are hairy people, and this very well could be that reference to it, but we don't know. I mean, we're reading, what he's saying, and we also don't know what role the Anunnaki played. I don't think they created this thing. I think it was here. It's one of several, and maybe it was a candidate for saying, look at that big one, he's pretty strong, but we need to make him smaller because then we can control him. Because the Anunnaki are supposedly super big. And you don't want a problem, you just want a slave to do your bidding, or some people call us monkeys. We're all monkeys because, we're not worth our salt. We're just supposed to do it. But when you were saying the demons, that's what I wanted to say. I don't believe they are. Just as much as I don't believe an octopus is a demon because it can change into like some devilish thing. One thing you may have missed, whenever everybody says demons and evil and whatever, people miss the jinn.
right.
Where you get the genies from. The jinn have been on the earth long time.
Okay, so that's a great point. Let's transition away
Sure.
from Bigfoot and dig more into some of this more paranormal
Right.
/ spiritual stuff. So what is the jinn? How long have they been here? What do they want? And
I don't know personally how long the
what's
jinn-
their favorite color?
I don't know.
Okay.
Jinn are genies. When they say genie in a bottle, they're talking about the jinn. They were used to build the temple. They had the ring as above, so below, the Star of David, and they were commanded. Solomon to build the temple. God literally gave him control over the jinn. They hate us. They hate humans. They will not bow down to us. God, when God created light and the universe, you know, man is who's my favorite. Everybody else piss off. So the jinn were driven out and underground. Genies, they have the ability to transmorph. They have the ability to make you sick, ill. They have the ability to look like demons and act like demons and scare the hell out of you. They're manipulators, but they're their own group throughout. And in the Arabic culture, they're huge. No one wants to talk to them. No one wants to have anything to do with them. They don't even mention the name because they fear that it brings it to you. So they've been here for thousands, if not millennia. That's what it is. Lot more in the Middle East with dealing with them, but they're all over the world, but they do concentrate in that one area. I mean, some of these Bigfoot sightings could very well be jinn. Some of these, you know, everybody's like within the paranormal, right? You have ghost hunting, like, oh, it's demonic. It's totally demonic. Well, I can tell you something. One, I do not do anything demonic. Well above my pay grade. I am not prepared for any of that stuff. I don't know if you guys are. I don't know if you continue to do that or if you have done it.
Yeah, within the paranormal realm, recently I actually did a house cleansing for a fellow brother. I won't mention names, but
Right.
Initially we thought it could be demonic, but it turned out to be a jinn. There was actually a dream catcher in my son's bedroom that was a portal that was bringing everything in there. It was quite interesting, but from that perspective, originally we felt it might be demonic, but when we got there,
they want you
Right.
out. That jinn wanted you like, get out. This is my place.
yeah.
And if you think about this, right? So you live where you live, right? I'm just the person that lived there before you comes in and goes, I built this place. Get the hell out. That's why some of these ghosts that pass away are like, what are you doing in my house? Sometimes people don't realize they passed away.
Right, they're still attached.
Right, or they go back to what they know. So you there had something that felt a little bit more demonic, but you find out later on it's the jinn pretending to do whatever to scare the hell out of you to get you out.
But I have, in my experience with paranormal investigations, typically with the demons, there's been the sulfur and other types of smells that were very prevalent. You could feel it like on the back of your, neck. You could just feel them breathing on you, and they're just kind of like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, like, and there are people like on TV that challenge them. Bad idea. Really, really bad idea.
So let me just take a step back because I don't know as much about this as you guys do. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about. So
our guest of the show is Alex.
Yes. No. I a really good question.
Yes, sir.
Because we're all Freemasons. That's how we sort of know each other. And I know
We do.
yes, we do know each
like
other.
pancake breakfast.
Right, exactly. It's delicious. But so, you go back to the idea of King Solomon's Temple, which you mentioned.
Right.
That's what I just wanted to check out. What are you... it said that there was no sound of axe, hammer, or any other tool of iron, which is what you talked about before, right? So I heard they used demons. Other people said they used angels. You said they used jinn.
All of the above.
Okay.
They weren't going to use the angels. Angels have other priorities. But in the grand scheme of things, cherubs, archangels, whatever, he had the ability to control the jinn, demons. Now, again, here we go again. Are the demons and jinn one, or are they separate? Okay? Because you can get into a list of different things and like, well, that's very, demonic. Here's where and they were not happy about building the temple, and they don't have to have the power to build it, tools. They just do it. It's like, this is why you rub the lamp, and you're like, I've had 3 wishes. And then you get screwed on each one of them, because that's how they operate, right? So they have the ability to just make it happen. And they're being forced to do it. So how happy do you think these jinn are, or the demons are, that like, who the hell is this, and how are they doing this to me? So,
So you're talking about that? What is it called? I want to say therumagy, but I don't think that's the right title. It's the binding and forcing of lower astral realm creatures
Will.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
to
the-
your will, right?
I don't know the proper term for it, so I apologize.
It's not theurgy, which is up. It's the other one that basically goes down.
So, as above, so below. Meaning, as God has commanded and can do, he can do it everywhere. And I'm going to give you that ability with that ring, and you're going to be like, flip that up, you build this is how it has to be. And if they don't do it, then they suffer the consequences. Because God is supposedly the ultimate, which I do believe. So they help build a temple, okay? In Freemasonry, we talk about the temple a lot, but we don't go into the other sides of it.
No.
Like how it was built. And because being very brotherly, we don't want to disrespect or disparage one versus the other. We're open to the whole thing. Well, we believe in a higher power. And that's that with that part of the religion. But the jinn are really, really weird. I've heard many reports. I do cleansings. I do house cleansings for people. I do a ton of different things. People will catch me like, I'll interpret dreams for people. And the way I operate, I get it in my head, like it plays out, and I know it that I know it. I know what my name is. I know how to spell it. I know what what colors are. It just, I know it. I can't, it's intuitive. And when I get a feeling like, this is not good, and I'll call up somebody who can handle it. And there are plenty of people that are, I was going to say dumb enough to go in there and do it, but I don't want to disrespect people that do this stuff.
Well, I think it's really, some folks have modalities that they can handle that type
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah.
realm. And because of that, that's who you're calling in. It's not to say it doesn't diminish your skill set.
It's just
No,
a matter
it's
of-
just, I know, you got to know your place in life. When you're having a heart attack, do you want a plumber or do you want a heart surgeon? I mean, they're both working on plumbing, but I prefer to have the heart guy there to do the work than
Smaller tools.
than the guy with the bigger tools and the crack.
It's like,
Yeah, you're almost finished roto-rooting it,
That'll give you a heart attack in and of itself.
Oh my God, yeah. So again, I don't like to do it. I have kids. I can't bring that stuff home. I can't bring attachments home. And there's a lot of times, and Dave, you'll know this. You can go into a place, and I've been with so many people that don't protect themselves before going in,
Oh, yeah.
and then they go home and like, I've been fighting with my wife ever since. I'm like, well, guess what? You have an attachment. I'll give you our ritual, right? And I used to, I usually go with a pair. So I usually go with my friend Al. And this is what we do beforehand. We sage everything. We sage ourselves. We sage our equipment. And then I say a traveling prayer. We do a couple ohms. He does the Our Father. And then he goes out and I always, he takes the holy oil out. Mm-hmm. And he says, in the name of the Father, and he puts the cross on it. And
Is he a priest, your friend, or?
No, he's just, give me the anointment and the protection. And as soon as he puts it on, I scream, oh my God, it burns! He's like, could you stop?
because I have to play around with them.
Yeah, of course. You gotta
And we
mess
go
with
through
them.
that.
Nothing but love and light. I always surround myself with a white golden light and bubble that's filled with God's protection and love. I tell this to everybody. And on the outside of the bubble, it is made up of mirror. So I can see through, but you can't see it. And that's how I try to travel. I highly recommend that with everybody. Always ask God for protection. Whoever your God is, if it's Jesus, if it's Buddha, if it's all, just surround yourself with that. And that gives you protection. And then once we do the investigation, we sage again.
So why sage and not Palo Santo or frankincense or anything else?
Well, we do it all. But sage is just so much easier.
Yeah.
Palo Santo, I love. It's a pain in the ass to light. It
is.
does not stay lit. Because I think the demons are like, oh God, they're getting the Palo Santo out. Let's go. And they're blowing it. Come on. And you get a cigar. Literally, if I did a cartoon, you'd see like,
Yeah.
And the demon. We use sage. We created something called agua de Dio.
Which is similar to Agua de Florida, maybe.
Florida water is totally different. Well, it's what we did was we've done cleansings in places where you can't light anything. So we take holy water and we put frankincense oil, myrrh oil, black salt, kosher salt. I like kosher salt because there's a certain requirement, religious requirement that's been used since the beginning of time. We put it in the sprayer and we'll use that instead of lighting. We'll spray that. And it's a great thing. You can just put your label on and say, here, if you ever have a problem or whatever, just spray a little bit. Kind of like Florida water, where it's enhanced as a protector. And that's why we just use sage. It's just readily available. We always have it, and and we use it. Whatever works for you to do it with, do it. I mean, you could probably burn a sprig of acacia, but you better not burn too much of it, because it could be a fun day.
That gets back into Nestor's episode on what acacia really is in terms of ayahuasca use and such.
Yeah. So, and that's what we go into, and I've saged my apartment numerous times, and my other half and the girls come, oh my God, what's that smell? I'm like, it's working. It's working.
Aww.
Only joking. But it does work. And it's worked forever, and there's different types of sages. There's blood sage, red dragon sage. Depends on what you're dealing with. But I think the higher end stuff, the Palo and whatever, that's for we got some serious stuff going on.
Right.
If you can kind of continue to use that, and when you're in an intense situation, look that thing up.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend using Palo Santo all the time, but when you get into some situations, you definitely need it. What would you say, from your perspective, obviously you touched on jinns. What about poltergeists? What about other entities that you've encountered through your psychic abilities and remote viewing?
Yeah, we can get into that. Like I said, if you're in this life, this is kind of like, we're adults. If you're an asshole in this life, you're an asshole in death. And there's plenty of these people that are haunting people and being like poltergeists because they're just that type of a-hole. So, there are also other, this is where we get into the evil entities. And again, I can't tell you if it's demonic, when the war in heaven started and Lucifer was like, I'm not worse than those people. Dad, no way. And they're like, no, you got to do it. And he got pissed off. The first real life, episode of real life something, they're all fighting with each other. And they get pushed down and whatever. But there are other beasts and entities that have been on this planet. I don't know. They can go interdimensional. They can be multiple dimensional creatures, and they come here. I've experienced shadow people. First time ever.
What's a shadow person?
Oh, okay.
That's fun.
So,
why do I not know about any of this? I thought I was hip to all this stuff. All right, go ahead.
Shadow person.
Stop reading Sitchin and start reading them.
You won't
so one of my good friends, and unfortunately passed away, is Rosemary Ellen Guiley. She's renowned for paranormal and a bunch of different things. And I used to go to this meeting in Yonkers where we'd meet and like-minded people, tinfoil hat guys and girls. We'd say, but we'd always get some really good guests. So she was going to give the talk that Wednesday, and this was like Tuesday night, and I'm going to go to sleep, use the restroom. All the lights are off in my apartment. My wife's sleeping already, so I wait in the restroom for the bathroom. And my eyes adjust. I go to my door when my bedroom is, open the door, and standing in front of me in the black is another shape probably about your height.
6'6". Am I close? 6 foot.
No.
Well, we'll just say
6'2", but
Whatever. And it's there. So I'm a New York City guy. Guns go back, and I go right at it. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And I walk in, I see another one leaning over where my wife's sleeping, and I go, oh no, and I go, I literally got the feeling, and this is before I really got into what I can do. I got an oh shit, and it disappeared. And then the next day we went and we saw Rosemary at this thing, and she was talking about shadow people and the jinn, which sometimes are shadow people. Okay? These are beings. Shadow people, black-eyed kids, children, kids with the black eyes, come on, let us in, come with us.
Was that like
Children of the Corn kind of thing?
No, it's, kind of, sort of. They're these kids that appear out of nowhere, literally all black eyes.
Wait, that's like a vampire? Like they can't come in unless you let them in?
Actually, they can't come in unless you let them in, and they want you to go someplace. Can you give me a ride home? Can you whatever? And it's just like they prey on you. And the way all these creatures, like the shadow people operate, black-eyed children, Monsters Inc.
yeah?
Wow, that's really very relevant in this. You know how they scare you and then it gets the energy from that? And they're like, yay! Same principle. Because everybody's had a shadow figure encounter, and what they do is they'll say they're in bed, and all of a sudden they get paralysis, and the shadow figure comes close to them, they're scared out of their mind. And they're staying there longer because they're eating your fear. They get off on the fear and the adrenaline that you're building in your mind and whatever else, adrenochrome, but they don't physically take your blood, they're just taking your essence. It's just like Monsters, Inc.
Yeah.
Fear is a huge commodity in my opinion, in the world of the paranormal. And interdimensional. That's what they live for.
Interesting.
So this was my theory on it. And what's very interesting is, the Mandela effect.
Okay, so yes, very much so. And I spoke with another guy who we're going to have on the podcast a couple episodes from now. He is a neuropsychiatrist and a Mason, a recent guy, and was telling me about the Mandela effect. So tell everybody
I'll
what
tell you
that's
about
all
the
about.
Mandela.
Yeah, please.
So the Mandela effect was like 2009-ish, I believe, is when it was coined by Fiona, I forgot her last name, paranormal investigator, who said Mandela died years ago. She's the one that coined the Mandela effect. Around the same time the Mandela effect happened, literally the exact same time, the first large collider?
The
CERN?
No.
Hadron Collider?
But it's not the one in
So it's not CERN.
Geneva. Oh, no, it's not.
it's out of Illinois. It's a Treviton. Yep, Fermilab. It's right out of Illinois, about 20 to 40 miles from Chicago. They're charged with quantum engine and mechanics and fuel.
Okay.
They ramped that thing up. It's been around since the 50s. They really started to use it and ramp it up in around the early 2000s. And as fast as they ramped it up, they shut it down pretty damn quick. Something happened.
What?
Well, this is my theory. So when you start colliding and you start playing with things you do not know, okay? Oh, let's use these cigars as an example. This is our timeline. And right next to it is another timeline. And what happened is, and then there's another and another, there's so many different timelines. You were talking with Eric about it, multiple timelines.
Sure.
Okay, and every timeline, like we're talking about it here. In another timeline, there's same us, but we're talking not about paranormal, we're talking about, you think humans should live. Something different. So what happened is, when that collider went on and they did something, they boomed like a big bang boom. And they took our timeline and broke it. I'm not going to break the cigar because it's too expensive, all right? And when they shut it down and the timeline joined back, these two timelines that are next to each other, this is our timeline, and now this is the other timeline. So we got from one point to the point where they broke it. That's what I remember. And the reason why we don't see the cornucopia in here is because we got the tail end of this timeline, and in this timeline over here, they got ours. How the hell did we get a cornucopia on the Fruit of the Looms? Now it's flipped. So we got half of one and half of another. So these two timelines joined, separate timelines, and we got the starting point of one and the half of the other. Here's the problem. I'm going to put my hand up. You can, if you break something, a glass, a jar, or something, you will never get it perfectly sealed. So you have these little cracks in it. Okay? Those cracks go into the interdimensional realm, which surround all our timelines, and they're interdimensional beings. Shadow people, black-eyed kids, there are other, the Mothman, other, dark entities. And they're like, what's that light coming in there? And they go through and they come out through the cracks. And now they have a whole new world to shop in. And this is why you have, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, Chicago has flying humanoid creatures. They've had it for the last decade plus. These creatures that are like the Mothman. Picture a 6 foot, 7 foot tall human-based creature. We don't look human, it's just dark with the wings, red eyes, and they're hanging out on top of the skyscrapers. They've caught them flying, bat-like wings. This is why if you look at the correlation between black-eyed kids reportings and where they are, every university in this country has a mini collider on it. So every university is making holes and punching holes in the timeline and into the dimension space. And all these black-eyed kid sightings are by these universities that have these colliders. The collider is what's creating Mandela effect. Because in our timeline, Mandela died, but in the other half, the piece that broke off that we rejoined with the other piece, Mandela's alive. That's why people remember Mandela's dead. Yeah, he is in our timeline, but when we rejoined, we got the tail end of B's timeline on ours, and they got our piece on there. And now Mandela, who was dead, is now, Mandela, who was alive, is now dead.
Interesting.
And they keep doing it and they use it. And you want to talk about demons. I'm different from Eric when he talked about the collider. I know when that thing gets ramped up. I feel it. I get this. I know something's happening. Because they're messing around with different timelines. They're messing around with different type of dimensional beings. And I do believe they are trying to call in things that you do not want here. And I don't.
Why would they want to do that?
Life is yin yang, right? With a lot of good, there's a little evil. With a lot of bad, there's a little good. Okay? What if we don't have to go through the whole revelation process or whatever, and we can just open a portal and we can get the evil to come in already and just take over the world? There are a lot of people in science that don't believe in God. There are a lot of people in the world that are very satanic these days. I think they're trying to force the hand of God or change the outcome of future timelines so that it works in their evil favor. Because they worship this stuff. We were talking about Moloch and all this other. They worship them. It's very prevalent, and I don't want to get you in trouble. But there's a lot of things that go along with it. There's a lot of trafficking of things. We'll just use the word trafficking.
Well, now you're talking to some extent the book of QAnon, right? And those ideas,
you know what?
and the adrenochrome, the kids, and all that kind of stuff.
That's a fact. I'm not validating that stuff.
Right.
It sounds really good. All my friends that were on it, I'm like, oh yeah, it sounds really good. When people start getting arrested, maybe I'll jump on.
Understood.
Too good to be true, right?
Understood.
But there are these. One of the biggest commodities in this world is sex trafficking. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to get any more because I don't want to get in trouble.
No.
I mean, we're talking about young kids and females in general, young boys and girls and females in general. It is absolutely disgusting. And this is based off of a ton of different things that have been taking place throughout history. There are people in this world that worship God, thank the Lord, and there are people that don't, and they worship the devil or Lucifer or Satan or a demon or a deity. and they're doing evil things with them. And when you scare the hell out of somebody, again, like the black-eyed kids or the shadow people, it's effective. Predachrome is, you can use it. It's been used before. Everybody knows it's a scientific fact. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I may have played one on TV, but I mean, it is a fact.
How many of these classifications of... So I guess you would put the black-eyed kids and all that stuff in a different category than the Sasquatches and all that, correct? Like they come from a different place, they mean
I
different
think they're
things.
all cryptids.
Okay.
Cryptid being, we don't know what these, they're some kind of strange beast or mystical beast. I always say, people are like, what do you do? Like with the paranormal, I'm like, well, I really like looking for mystical beasts. I believe mermaids are real, sea serpents are real, unicorns are real, dragons are real. Everything is based in reality, okay? You know, there wasn't like a map guild, like, okay, let's put a couple more unicorns on that one, and then you get some sirens. These are actual tales that have been told throughout the world in different cultures that never had an interaction with each other, apparently. And they're drawing the same unicorn or the same sea, creature or the mermaid or whatever. I believe they existed, and somehow they do not exist anymore. Maybe they went underground. Maybe they have the ability to, survive in a different manner. Like the Loch Ness Monster, one of my friends...
Or interdimensionally.
They
right?
can do it interdimensionally.
Yeah.
They can, one of my friends, Andy McGrath, he's out of the UK, Beasts of Britain. He's doing a new series. And I proposed to him that I said, I personally think the Loch Ness Monster, Nessie, is actually the same monster you're getting on the East Coast in Champlain and, the Ogopogo thing. And I think what it does is...
Wasn't Ogopogo Lake Otsego, or where was he out of?
I forgot the name of the lake, but I remember going up into Canada and sitting at the lake, and I said, just watch my wife at the time. This was a bunch of years ago. It's in Canada.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And she's like, what are we watching? I'm just watch. And we were there for like 40 minutes. There's nothing much to do in that neck of the woods of Canada. She goes, what the hell are we doing? Let's go. Why are we here? He goes, I said, there's a sea serpent in the lake. Just watch. He goes, start the car and get us the hell out of here. She just didn't want to be wasting time. So not a good co-pilot for that. But I think what they do is they found a way in a trench underneath the ocean or in Loch Ness that connects them to our part. I think it could be the same family, and we don't know what's under the ocean. You guys were talking about it before. You're talking about the Bimini Road, right? And you're talking about Atlantis, and I'll give you my theory on Atlantis if you want.
Oh, I'd love to. But I got to tell you, I believe... I'm more likely to believe in the Loch Ness Monster than that the Loch Ness Monster found a trench that gets him from Scotland to Canada and back. I don't know that I can... I don't know... How do you feel about that?
I feel like there's a lot of underground caves within the earth.
Or
and
aquifers.
There's
Aquifers.
actually, they said that there's an ocean and the earth's...
There's an ocean within the ocean.
Right. So the question becomes, what's down there?
That was the coolest thing to hear.
Great. Is that where Atlantis is?
No, it's really funny. There's a couple different places that Atlantis has been reported.
Okay.
And the reason why it's in two or three separate places is because my contention, Atlantis is an unidentified submersible object.
A USO?
A USO.
Never heard of that before. Okay.
Well, hear me out.
Please do.
So if you have a race, okay, so there's multiple races of extraterrestrials. Eric was talking about silicon base, okay? There's more than that. So you have ones that are on the insectoid side. You have the Pleiadians, the beautiful people. You have the Nordics. You have ones that look like literally Chewbacca or a Bigfoot.
But
But they're
not big.
different than...
They're different than Bigfoot. I mean, you have ones that looks like a spider, okay? There are multiple different ones. Interdimensional, extraterrestrial, interstellar, underground, have been here. Light beings, I mean, there's a variety of them, okay? they kind of like, everybody talks about this galactic federation. I don't believe there's a table with all these different looking creatures or aliens going, you know, and saying, okay, before we discuss Earth, who wants Chinese and who wants pizza? Raise your, I don't believe it. I do not believe it. I love Deep Space Nine. Thought it was a great show.
Also a fan.
Right. Each species is here because there are certain materials on our planet they need. Right? But more importantly, each one of those species that come here, their species has been almost annihilated. They destroyed their planet. They destroyed their bloodline. They cannot replicate. They're sterile. This is why we have the breeding program. We have a certain part, we have a junk portion of our DNA, okay? We're not getting into double or triple helix, but it's really interesting when Eric was talking about, yeah, I've seen the glyph. I knew exactly what he was talking about, the binary and what was sent out on the Voyager as well. Same information, okay? We are like the ultimate building block for recreating a race. So let's say, and you did this in science class, this is what's crazy why people just don't get it. They come here. I'm going to use grays as an example, but there's a couple different ones. There's the little grays, which are extraterrestrial biological entities, meaning clones. They're dumb as rocks. They're about an 80 IQ, and they're the ones that crash all the ships because they're the ones flying. Then you have the
Why would they let them fly the ships?
because it's like a drone. It's kind of like, it's like I'm going to say it's Tesla, and they just stop in the middle of the road because their programming sucks. All right, they're having problems with that. Artificial intelligence, biological extraterrestrial entity, go get the body, and they have the ability through the genetics to morph through anything that's material, because once you can change your molecular structure, and I think we have the ability to do that. That gets into vibrating a different frequency, and you'll be able to, the walk on water thing, go through solid steel. It's, if you can do it with your conscious, I'm telling you, if we started using more of our brain, we'd be like, wow, I just walked right through the bank vault, took what I wanted. That's how good it would be. So that's what those little guys are. But the taller ones are the ambassadors, okay? There's a video, we're getting into this. There's a video I received via text message from that all zero number. It said USG.
Bring it up.
I'll bring up the video I'm talking about in 2 seconds. Hold on. This is a new phone. This is on an old one. But
New phone, who this?
Who this? Yo, what's up? Who this?
All the zeros.
I've actually posted it several times.
Okay.
It's a video
If you
of.
send us the link to it, we could post it.
Yeah, I'll send you the link
Thank
to it. It's a quick video.
Cool.
It's made the rounds recently. I got this way back in 2013 or 14. Okay? It was definitely a Latin gentleman talking to a tall gray. It's a great video. I had it for almost a decade before and now it's making the rounds again.
So it's not a deep fake. It's not.
No.
Okay.
No. And I'm like, holy crap, and I didn't post it. And, but those tall grays are the ambassadors. They're the ones that are making deals with people like, yeah, okay, well, you let us do this. And these are the ones that make deals with Eisenhower. Like, you let us abduct a couple people, give you some reverse engine Yugo parts. Because they gave us, that's what basically they did. They're like, yeah, we'll give you an old craft. So they gave us a Yugo while they had a Lambo. And like, we're elevated technology-wise now, but we weren't where they were. They're not stupid enough to give us that. They know what we did. We blow shit up. We created the atomic bomb. We're going to kill people. So like, don't give them the good stuff. Just give them the Yugo. And then we reverse engineered things. The U.S. The U.S. is at least 200 years ahead technology-wise everybody else on the planet. And we will never admit to it because we don't have to. It's a national security issue. And why would you tell your enemies what you have? Right? I wouldn't. So that's the whole disclosure thing on the UFO thing. And disclosure happened for the UFOs, just in case you know, 1977 with the release of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, because Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who was in charge of Blue Book, literally was in that movie when the craft came down to the mountain and he took his pipe out, didn't have to say anything, did not have to violate his NDA. He was right there when it happened. That's real disclosure. And if you need somebody to say, UFOs are real, you have other issues. They're real. So they use, let's give me one more second. Mm-hmm. So they use these humans, they abduct them, men and female. So if you remember in bio class, if you have a chart, X, Y, X, Y. So when you take two different species, put them together, you get X, 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 Y, 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 X, X. And eventually you'll have something that's all human, all extraterrestrial, and then half and half. And you can slowly breed out all the human, and now you just have extraterrestrial.
What I was going to ask you was talking about close encounters of the third kind. Obviously, it seems like there's been a trend of the CE5 or the close encounters of the fifth kind. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure. That's Dr. Stephen Greer stuff, right?
No, it's Dr. Hynek's stuff. Stephen Greer thinks he's... I'm not going to get into the cult of Greer.
Okay, fair enough.
People paying tons of money, and they're very militant about it. I'm like, he's the best. I'm like, no, we're good.
I'm sure he's got something worthwhile to say for whatever.
He's interesting, but he's no longer in the mix now. He's getting pissed off. And he's trying to come back. He was all about money. When I was doing our podcast Into the Goblin Universe, I tried to get Stephen Greer on the show. We weren't getting paid. He's like, well, and then they sent me like 400 pages of questions like, what's your audience like, whatever. How much is Mr. Greer going to get? I'm like, I'm not getting paid. You're not getting paid.
Right.
So the close encounter of the fifth kind, which is the CE5, it's the conscious encounter active. So you're using your consciousness, third eye consciousness, to connect to the universe and say, we want to have an interaction with you. I do them all the time. And every time I've done it, I even brought my oldest daughter one. And she was blown away. First time I did it publicly was up in Pine Bush, New York, a bunch of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, because it was a year prior to the COVID. And I was tired. We were there all day. We did 3 15-minute presentations, 3 half-an-hour presentations, 3-hour presentations. I was there since 4 in the morning. I was really wiped out. My buddy Al, he just came off of chemotherapy for cancer, and I'm like, we're sitting there eating pizza, I hope nobody comes. But there was a nice couple that showed up, a mother and a daughter, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it for them. And we get to this field called in Alice Court in Pine Bush, New York, in the town of Crawford. And by the time we get there, there's 75, 80 people there. Then we get called up from a friend of ours, one of which is Mark D'Antonio. He's an astrophysicist, works for the Navy. He's on a lot of these shows. Where are you guys? We tell them where we are, and 40 more people show up. Men, women, and children. So I get everybody to bring it down. I'm like, bring it down. Just bring it down a level. I know it's an exciting day, UFOs everywhere, and we're on acres upon acres of land. Then there's a little bit of a forest, and then it's almost like an open field, like a lot of these places have baseball field and soccer field. So it's a complex, but it's dark. There's 1 or 2 houses off this road, but that's about it. In the distance, we see 2 mountains. We know where the air traffic is. It's clear, it's hot. There's a little bit more of a haze in the air. And I was being interviewed by German TV because they wanted to make fun of all the UFO people. And I said, well, we're going to do a C5, we want to stay. No, I'm out. They left. So I bring everybody down, and you've got to get everybody on the same page. I want you to breathe for a little bit. And I'm doing this, not a meditation, but I'm like, breathe it out, okay. I want you to use your mind to say, hey, we just want to have an interact with you. Can you please come down if you hear us and make your presence known? We don't want to get hurt. We don't want you to get hurt. We just want to know that you're here. And we're all doing it. Now, my buddy Al is sitting next to me. He's kind of wiped out, but everybody's doing it, and everybody's really quiet. And at one point, I start hearing hooting, like I thought it was kids, over in the baseball field, a bunch of acres away from us. You can kind of see it through the trees, making, it's Saturday night. There's nothing to do in the town. We're drinking and kicking cans. And I'm about to turn to my friend who's sitting next to me. I'm like, did you hear the hoot and hollering? Some guy gets up and goes, did you hear that owl? And I said, yeah, I was about to hear the hooting and hollering. And the next thing you know, above our heads, no more than 100 feet in the air, is a huge craft. And it's gunmetal black. And in the center is a huge white, like, dome. And you can see from its shadow, it's like an LED light where they're bright, but you can still look at it. And you can still see the outline of whatever is on the light. And you can see the hex pattern that's building up. And everybody's going nuts. Oh my God. So we signal it. It signals back. And now I start talking to it. I said, thank you for making your presence known. And I say this loudly. Can you please do us a favor? Can you go out to those mountains that are straight ahead? I point you to it and do a maneuver or two. And then, just to prove that you are who you are. This is a ginormous craft. I am kidding you. I would be kidding you if I didn't say it's anything less than 4 houses wide. Like big. This is huge. Unbelievably huge. At least 15-story building, and it's all black. So the craft blinks out, and you see this giant light, and it goes right out to the mountains. It goes and starts doing 90-degree turns in a split second. Then it comes back and it appears, and everybody's like, oh my God, they're applauding. And I'm like sitting there, and I do this, I investigate this stuff, and I'm like, holy crap. Because
So weirdly, I'm getting goosebumps when you're saying this.
Let me explain
the energetics are interesting.
I'm able to do this, and I'll tell you the next one I did and whatever. If I can predict this, I can make a ton of money doing this. I mean, I'm going to bring extraterrestrials in. Let's go, okay? And I'm even aghast when I'm like, wow. When you get a good EVP, you're like, oh wow, this is great. So it goes out, and everybody's like, it becomes like a light. So my friend signals, it signals back. Another person signals a flashlight, it signals back. Then it disappears. I'm like, can you please come back one more time? I know, we don't want to take your time. Boom, it appears. I want to thank you very much. And everybody's like, we're saying like, thank you. And it disappears, and that's it. So people didn't even pay for this. But if they paid for it, you got your money's worth. The next day, there were dozens of people calling the town of Crawford's main event person, and she called up my friend. She goes, what the hell did you guys do last night? And we told them, and she was like, oh my God, the chief of police was there. He saw it. I've tried to talk to that guy numerous times. He won't talk.
Wow, he won't talk to you.
Nope, he won't comment on it. That man witnessed exactly what we witnessed, and tons of people. They used to comment like, dude, that was the greatest night ever. I mean, that was incredible. So that's the first CE5. You're using your consciousness to do it. And everybody that was there was into it. No one was playing around. No one was monkeying around. No one was making jokes. No one was drinking or drunk. Key element, your intentions on these things is what matters. And you can use it. I have a protocol called Active Intelligent Encounter. Set your intentions. Release those intentions. We want to have an interaction with you. Spirit, we want to have an interaction with you. Bigfoot, we want to have an interaction and be there, feel that purity, and send your vibration, meditate before you go. Do this before you go into the field on investigation, especially with ghost hunting. We don't want to be hurt. We don't want you to be hurt. We just want to know that you're here. I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times you're going to bring this in. You're going to have an experience. I did another one during the COVID event.
Now, would this work in certain locations better than others? Is that relevant?
I think it you do it in the city area. I mean, there's way too much traffic here. Although there's tons of reports now of UFOs in the area. There's tons coming in from Jersey, New York, Staten Island, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and people are seeing things. I prefer to go to an area which is a little bit darker, and you can see where the traffic is going, air traffic, so you know it's not just a plane. When we do this, I have an app that tells me the satellites. So I know that if there's a satellite in the area or a government-based one, wink, wink, because they come in, and there's one that's 3, looks like a red triangle, boom, and it comes down.
Is that thing that Eric was talking about, where it's the
That's a
propulsion,
GR3B, yeah.
propulsionless drive?
No, those are 3 satellites, but there is what he's talking about is a TR3B. It's a triangle. Anytime you see the triangle videos of a UFO, and it's usually like this with a center, that's ours. We reverse engineered it. That is our product.
It's our product.
That is not that is not an extraterrestrial being or extra dimensional or interdimensional. That is U.S. or government based.
So Darryl Anka, that channels Bashar, which I'm
Yeah.
sure you're probably familiar with to some extent, he said that Bashar is a product of a hybrid race, the Assassani or whatever they call it.
I don't remember the
Yeah,
name of it,
but
yeah.
the idea being that at one point in the future or in another dimension, they're actually us or a version of us that's now become a hybrid being.
Yep.
There's a lot of this talk about hybrid beings of
Right.
a lot of kinds. So I remember you mentioning that before. So if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
So I don't. I mean, unless some of the things from Bashar, but I always get like this with channels because if you're really good, you know, you have to wow me in order for me to follow you as a channel.
Interesting. So who would you recommend? Who do you really like?
I don't follow channels.
Okay, you don't. Okay.
Look, you have to do what's good for you. Yeah. It's interesting what he's saying, and if it can be validated or backed up. And he did things which kind of backed up what he was saying. So I'm not discrediting him. I just think there's too much wiggle room in there to deceive people.
Interesting.
I know somebody who does channeling, and I just want to laugh. I know them personally, and I'm like, oh. And they've got a huge crowd that follows. So, but there are hybrids. There are, you know, there's hybrids of everything. There's not only just humans and different types of extraterrestrials, but there's extraterrestrials within other extraterrestrials. And they're trying anything they can to keep their race going. We have a potential as human beings to be far greater and powerful than we are. They know it. We don't use enough of our brain power. We don't use our consciousness. We're not vibrating at a higher frequency. Okay? And the problem with that is we're like Cro-Magnon. we're, you know, we can get very violent. They're a little bit more of, you know, yes or no. It's black or white with them. What they love about humans is, and this is what they always do when people get abducted, women get abducted, or men, they will not allow you to understand or comprehend you've been abducted because you may not have the mental fortitude to handle it. But as you go through it and you open up more, they will give you more that you can remember. And there are times when they allow you to see your offspring and they want to see your reaction to them. So you'll be on a craft, and we've had this from people that are actual abductees. I have missing time. I don't know where I was, and it was not alcohol related or drug related.
You're sure?
I swear to God it wasn't.
And I don't want to know. I don't want to regress myself. There's reasons, because if you can sleep, you can sleep. Once you regress yourself and you open that Pandora's box, you may never sleep again. But I've had reports of women coming there and they see, they're given this offspring, this child that's theirs. There's something familiar about it, but some of them really just take to it. Some of them don't. They don't understand emotion. Most extraterrestrials do not get it. Like the humans, we have emotions. See, this is the same problem with AI. Mm-hmm. And I said it. You can, first of all, it's being programmed by a human. That idea. We fail at a lot of stuff. And what it lacks, which is critical, is emotion. The emotional component in life, the compassion, the feelings is so important. The love in decision making. So there's a war that's going on right now at one point, and a country decided to let their AI decide who they're going to bomb. And that AI has no emotions attached to it, so boom, we're just going to do them. Whereas a human being would look, there's 76,000 people there. I know you want to get A, B, and C, but there's 76,000 people there. So that's the difference. That's what they're trying to get, because they don't have it. It's too clinical. It's too sterile.
Let me switch gears for a second, if we can.
Sure.
You and I know each other not only for Freemasonry, but I've actually done some sessions with you
Yes.
for remote viewing.
Yes.
Dave can talk about his
Oh, yeah.
session with you if you'd like. But the stuff you've told me and that you've seen has been scary accurate. And
appreciate that.
I'm generally
I
a
mean,
skeptic for a lot of this stuff, but you've more than proven yourself over time with a lot of the things that you're talking about. So can you talk about, number one, what is remote viewing? How does it work? How do you sort of put it into practice and all the background on that?
Sure. What I do is natural remote viewing. I've been doing this since the beginning, before I knew about remote viewing or psychic abilities. I always try to play around with like those decks with the star and the three wavy lines. You know, hostess cupcake. No. That's what I want. Hostess cupcake and star. I just had this vibe about it. But the way I started playing with this, everybody has this ability. You're using your conscious mind to transport from your physical to wherever. And when you do it enough, you can see, smell, taste, touch, and know everything. And you know it as if you know your own name. So if I said the number 23, can you see that in your head? If I wrote down A, B, C, D, can you see it in your brain? If I said red, green, black Scotch pattern, can you see it?
Yes.
Kind of, if you know, whatever. An octagon, I can see it, okay? You know it because you know it, okay? I know my past history. Somehow you tap into, we'll call it the Akashic record.
Right, Akashic Records, yeah.
Right? The source, God's source. And that's everything. It's everything that has been and will ever be. And what people don't understand, and you guys are talking about it, time is an earth construct. Time does not exist anywhere off this earth. Nowhere. Okay? But when you pass over from this realm into the afterlife and you get to the Akashic record, you see past, present, and future playing out constantly all the time. Your past, present, and future is right there. And that's why people know what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. This is how they know how the timeline is going to work, because they can see past, present, and future. And if I manipulate that a little bit, it all goes left now. So you connect to the Akashic record technically. When you go to sleep at night, this is important too, because people don't realize it. That is the one moment, no one knows why we sleep. No one, not even doctors or scientists, they make assumptions of why we sleep, but no one knows why we later, I'm going to go to bed now. Why do you close your eyes and sleep and keep them closed for 8 hours? I think it's an innate ability for you to go, I got to go back to base camp. And when you go to sleep, everything goes away. All the lights, all the sounds, the energy waves, it's really quiet. And you and your consciousness now can get connected to the record. And then some people will have, there's dreams and there's experiences. There's a big difference. So a dream is, I think it was Alex, he was surfboarding on a yellow donut, and somehow, Dave was flying in a turbo something. It's very vague. And experiences, Alex was there, you were there, you were both in a bright blue Eldorado 60-something, the convertible, buzzy dice. It was this real puppy stuff. You went to this house. The house was old, rickety, and you start going into the details. When you were sleeping, you had an experience. You actually did that. You connected to the record, and you remember it. You're intuitive more so, everybody is, but you're really more intense because we talk about vibrating at a higher frequency. So you're going to remember these things. Sometimes it's download, sometimes it's your spirit guide or guardian saying, listen, don't go to the mall tomorrow. Whatever it is, or they're giving you information, they're opening you up more. Do you always remember it? No, because you may not be remembering it for that point. You may have to, it may be time released. You may not be prepared to remember it. But when you do remember things, that's in the dream state. That's why we sleep, okay? The same thing happens when you do remote viewing. the way I do it is I close my eyes and I try to breathe and focus. And I like it better when you give me a problem. So there's a brother we all know, and I'll give you an example of this, okay? I'm not mentioning names for reasons, okay? So I even though I come up to New York for the summers, I still have a place in Florida. And I've been asked numerous times, where's this, where's that? So I'll sit there, and I love to solve, if I can help you, I'm going to help you, right? So I'll sit there, and somebody asked me on the Three Beard podcast that I used to do, where's my sunglasses? My wife took them, she lost them. So I sat there, and I focused on his sunglasses. And the minute you focus on what you want to see, that's where they take you. When you're trained enough, it takes you right there. So if I need to know the sunglasses, it's going to take me to where the sunglasses is. So I see the sunglasses, and I see this container. It looks like a cart. It looks like a go-kart or something. And the back is kind of upholstered, and it's bluish. And it kind of reminds me of my blue cooler. So I'm seeing bits and pieces of it, but I'm not seeing it 100% correct. I said, it's over there, it slipped underneath, it's going to be there, both of them. One's there, the other one flew out the window. Your wife's just not telling you because she doesn't want to deal with you. Okay, that it's off of an exit, and I saw it fly out the window. So I tell him, he goes, oh, no, we don't have anything blue like that, whatever. So I said, okay, I don't care. You want to challenge me? Go challenge me. Fast forward 4 months later, he goes, I found the sunglasses. I said, was it near something? He goes, yeah, it was near this. You were right, it was blue, and it was color. I'm like, yeah, and it was underneath. I'm like, he goes, yeah, you were right. So what I saw was actually like a go-kart or whatever they had there, and it just slipped underneath there. I was spot on about it. Then his wife told him, like, yeah, they flew out the window and I didn't want to tell you. And I couldn't stop. So fast forward to a brother. Brother goes missing. And I like this brother, brand new, about 2 years ago. Great person, great heart, great soul, whatever. No one's heard from him. So I tried calling him, no one's heard from him. So I'm talking to another brother about him. And I said, listen, I'm going to remote view him. So I sat in my room and I closed my eyes, and the way it works is I meditate and I focus and I see like a white light. And then I ask mentally, I want to be taken to where this person is. I want to know what's going on. And then you start getting taken there and you start seeing things. And I get to a point where I'm looking. This is what I see. This is all playing out in my mind's eye, by the way. I see a morgue in a hospital. And I see the morgue, the little fridges and the tiles on the wall. And I'm like, oh, crap. And then I see like what looks like a curtain, that cloth curtain they use in the emergency rooms, right? And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And I feel the coldness, and I can kind of feel on my tongue there's something with metal. When you put metal spoons, sometimes it hurts or bothers you, or whatever. And then I see behind the curtain over there next to it, and all I see is the bed rail up of a hospital bed, someone in a gown, and they're handcuffed to that. And I'm seeing that over here and that, and they're getting medicine. And then I start getting things, getting fed, missing the medicine, and these things start coming into my head, knowledge as if I knew it. They told me I knew it, I'm relaying to somebody. So I call up the other brother and I said, I hope I'm wrong about this, but I saw them in hospital. I see the morgue in this other room. I believe the person's been arrested, and he's not guilty of that arrest. It was just the circumstance. He doesn't have his medicine, and he's being fed medicine, but he's going to be in a hospital. Go check the hospital. Go check the hospitals. So 12 hours go by. He calls me up and goes, you're 100% spot on. He got jumped, got into a conflict. They arrested him wrongly. He was handcuffed to a bed next to the morgue. The curtain was there, and he missed his medicine. He needed it, so they're giving him medicine. And then eventually they found him, and he's a great guy. And yeah, and I was talking to that brother the other day because we all got together, and he goes, "That was scary." I'll give you another example. And I'm better when I'm tired.
Are you? Why?
Because you're freer.
Oh,
You don't let anything,
Your natural anxieties dissipate.
Yeah,
all
you
that
kind of like chill. And I'm not like Stone, like my old days, you know, whatever. I do miss marijuana, but I can't do it. It gives me migraines. But I'm not condoning drug use, DMT. I'm not condoning it whatsoever. But some of it does help you to relax. So when you relax, things happen better. When you try to force things, it's difficult. So the way I work is every time I have a problem or someone has an issue, I get taken to so like, let's say there was a problem in this room. And I remote viewed it, I'd be taken to this position and I'd see the door. I'm like, okay, no, I want to walk around. No, let me reset. And you can reset. And then I go back in the room. I'm taken to the door. And I found out long ago that when they put me in front of something, that's where the problem is. I don't have to go walking or gallivanting around. That's it. So I learned that. And then now what I can do is, over time with using it, I get to, I can ask questions. So I'll ask questions. I need more clarity. Please give me more. And I go, you know, I'll get some more clarity. Or like, something happens, I see something happen, and I'm just using this hypothetically. Something happens to Bob. I don't want to use you guys as an example. Something bad's going to happen. Like, can I tell Bob it's going to happen? And I will literally hear, no. Like, why not? No. I said, can I tell Bob just to be careful? Yes. Can I tell Bob it's going to happen on the Jersey? No. Can I tell him to be careful driving the car on Tuesday? Yes. Sometimes, and I don't know who the hell that yes or no is, they still say it's a universe. They don't want me to tell them because we each have to follow a path. And if you don't follow a path and you don't go through the bumps and hurdles, you don't learn your lesson. And then you don't gain the experience to actually go, I'm not going that way anymore, I'm going to go the right way. It's really weird, it's hard to explain. So I get this now, when I've violated that rule and I try to do it, shit hits the fan. I was about to tell somebody about something and my toilet was a problem, it was leaking in my apartment. I'm like, oh, I gotta fix it. Or next the shower was leaking. And I went, oh, and another thing I wanted to tell you, the shower's broken. So I'll tell you tomorrow. So now I know, but I did something like that recently where I saw very much danger for a person who I cared tremendously about. And they said, no, and I couldn't take it anymore. I have to protect this person. And because I did that in a roundabout way, they know, but they don't know what I had to go through. And they hate me for it, but they don't know what I did to do, you know. I said something, they didn't like what I have to say, but in essence, by me saying something, they got the message, and they know now. So they don't even talk to me anymore, which is really hard for them. But no, you know what? They're going to be hopefully okay if they pay attention, but they're not.
So, Carl Petrie, who's another brother of ours, I've only met him briefly. Like to have him on the show at some point. But he's
Just call him and tell him he'll come right up.
he's a remote viewer as well, correct? Or not necessarily in the same way, mode, and manner?
I don't know if he's a remote viewer. It's more of I was talking to Carl a little bit about this. I think he's more like, they'll call that psychic.
What's the difference then?
Well, I say remote viewer because I don't want to be labeled as like a Miss Cleo. Call me now. You know, I don't want to deceive people, right? So the person I was talking to when I found out we do an investigation for the group, my buddy, we have a psychic for a group. Her name's Cindy Bailey Dove. She's out of Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And before we did it, when I was the first investigation for the group,
is she good?
She's very good. And what he used to do is, before we go out on an investigation, he had a whole bunch of people coming with us. He has a reader read them, because there are people like we have to know that they're okay to go on the investigation. They're not going to cause a problem or be in danger. And we've had to say to some people, you can't go. Like, why not? I'm like, the psychic read you. You're not in a good place right now. We'll try to do it again. We're protecting you from getting hurt. We're protecting us from that too. So when she reads you, if you have some kind of abilities, she gets a tingle like a 9-volt battery, right? So that my buddy's going, yeah, you said you were good, and then there's one guy there, and she said she got a little tingle with you, which means you're on a path you can kind of enlighten more. And then he goes, and then she got to you, and she got blown off her chair. And I'm like, ooh, interesting. So he says, you have more abilities than her, but you keep walls up. And I said, I'm in New York City. Damn straight I keep walls up. I'll put a club on it, too. You know. So I called to explore with her. So she was my Yoda. And I said to her, I want to explore this. I don't want to open a Pandora's box. She's like, yeah, sure, no problem. You know, the accent. It was a Pandora's box. She knew it.
Natural.
So we talked about grounding, and grounding is before you go into something, you imagine, like, you remember when I was talking about the white golden light bubble? Put that around you, and then allow these roots to come out of the earth, the ground, wrap around your ankles and hold you to protect you so that you don't get pulled away someplace. Because in your conscious mind, and when you remote view and you do this stuff, you can get messed up. It's kind of like Nightmare on Elm Street, like you die in your head, you dream. You can get really screwed up. You can get hurt, you can get burnt, you can get scratched, you can get caught. I've gotten caught.
When you say caught, what does that mean?
I've gotten caught. Like, I've gone into remote view a place and scared the hell out of one person because I wanted to make sure they wouldn't allow us, our psychic, to read them. And when I said, I was just going there and say, hey, you got to let her read you. And this person was like, get the hell out of here. And then when I went to heal, I went to see what was wrong with our psychic. She wasn't feeling well. When I stepped into the place that she was staying, which I've never been to, I've never seen her or whatever, I stepped into her granddaughter's bedroom and she was looking at me like, who the hell are you? And I said, hi, I'm Brian. I'm here for Nana, your grandma, your Nana. I'm going to help her. Just tell her Brian was here. Okay? And she's looking at me like this. Okay. Go in, I see her. Cindy's sleeping. I try to heal people as well. So I do the white golden light in there and start from the head, and I literally scan you all the way down, fill you with white golden light, get rid of anything red, that's how I see it, or dark. And I just noticed something right over here. It's all black. So the next day she calls me up, you were here. I said, yeah. She goes, yeah, my granddaughter told me. I said, but I also felt you. I said, what's going on with your thyroid? She goes, oh my God. I said, something's wrong with your thyroid, right? She goes, yeah. You saw it? Yeah, I saw it. She had a thyroid problem. Mm-hmm. So, but other than that, she goes, I feel great. Whatever you did. I said, well, I sent energy your way. So that's kind of how it works. But I told Cindy about this. It's a Pandora's box. I said, I'm a remote viewer. She goes, no, you're a psychic like me. I'm like, no, I'm a remote viewer because it made me feel better. Mm-hmm. I'm a psychic remote viewer, whatever you want to call me. I think, Carl, there is no real difference. Carl is a lot more in tune, and the way he operates, if you've never met him, he looks at you, and over your left shoulder, he sees what he says is a little TV set. It's playing out all the things, and that's how he sees it. But then again, he could also see in the future, so maybe he is part of remote viewer. I'll let that for Brother Petrie to come and talk about.
But he says, number one, he will not work with clients because he's afraid he cannot necessarily direct what he sees what he sees, and he doesn't want to have to give bad news to people. He said that
and that's fine because and I understand that. I'm going to give you an example. When you start using your psychic abilities, like when you start using this, you vibrate and you meditate, and you'll start work on it. Everybody can do it. You two can do it off of each other. I'm thinking of number 2, 1, and 10. I'm thinking of color of the. I do this with my kids all the time. Thinking of a color of the rainbow. And my kids will be like, sea foam green, no. Rainbow, red, orange, green, yellow. Not sea foam, no. Right. And they're very, we'll just play this game. Another thing you can do with your conscious mind is you can manipulate time. Okay? If it normally takes you to get from this point to this point, 30 minutes, mentally say, put it out there, intent, I want to do it in 20. And watch what happens. After a while, you start doing it quicker. You're manipulating time. You're sending something to the universe that will allow the construct to be there, and I can't explain why, but you'll get there earlier. And that's why the positive intentions are there. So with Carl, he sees the videos, he said something very interesting. People knew that he has abilities, and they come up to him. Someone was missing, and he wouldn't work the case. He knew exactly where he was. He wouldn't say a word. Because what happens is, when you go to the police and say, there's a body, blah, 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 you're now a suspect.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Which I got immediately because last summer, my kids go to school in Florida. It starts in August. That would kill me up here. Imagine going to school in August. So we go out and get some school supplies. I said, you want to go get something to eat? Sure, we go to this one restaurant. It's your typical, it's like my restaurant. This is one place that I call, I just made it up, whatever it is. And you walk into it. I'm not going to tell you the restaurant because I don't want people to freak out. So you walk in, bar on the left, hostess station. You have two rows of chairs this way and one long row of booths. So we sit in a long row of booths. And it's my two kids and myself. And I'm tired. And our waitress comes out. She's really nice. And I can't believe I said I'll have a Caesar salad. I'm normally a steak guy. So I'm said, whatever, have it. When you start using your psychic ability, your third eye, others develop. And I've started developing this for the last 2-3 years. I'm starting to get downloads now. It just comes to me. Plays out in my head. And I'm sitting there, and our waitress is going here. She's working this row, whatever. And I see another waitress come out, and I instantaneously see her, and I see and hear everything. She's at a bar. It's late at night, last call. There's a guy, heavy set, like 5 o'clock shadow. By the way, my great uncle created that phrase for an American safety razor. I found that out from my father. Yeah.
Interesting.
And the guy said, come on, I'll give you a ride home. And the next image is this woman dead in the grass, all pale, blue around the face and the eyes, and just staring up like this, dead as a doornail. And I'm like, holy crap. The guy's a killer. He's a serial killer. I know he's a serial killer. I'm like, what do I do? I'm a father of 2 daughters. I want my kids to be protected. I've never done this before. And what Carl Petrie said, I don't work with police because I don't want to be accused of it. So I'm like, but I'm a good guy. I got to do something. So I go outside and I talk to one of my friends who's a Jersey girl, who's intuitive. She's great. And I'm like, this is what happened. I've never done this before. I don't know how to handle this. I don't want to be accused of being a murderer. This girl's going to die if I don't say anything. So she goes, no, I got you. I do this all the time. And she does. She's not a quiet girl. She has a great show called Journey Through the Gate, Paranormal Portal Podcast. So hopefully we'll get you guys on that show with her.
Oh,
she's
that'd
in
be
Jersey,
fun.
so she's on the show side of it. Her name is Cisco Murdoch. And I go, Cisco, I've never done. I'm freaking out because I don't want to be accused if something happens to God forbid, but I want to stop this as a father. I have to do this. She goes, no problem. You go up to her and you tell them you're a medium and you got a caution for her. Then you tell her what to do. So I said, I'm more of an extra large, but yes. Okay, we'll go into it. So I'm still freaking out. And, I go out back inside. My kid's like, Daddy, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm nervous about it. So I go up to pay the bill, and I said, okay, I got to do it now. I said, keep walking. And I don't see her. And then I'm about to walk out, and I see her come out, and I walk towards her. And she backs up a little, like, who the hell is this? I said, sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. I'm a medium. So medium. I got a caution for you. And I tell her, I don't care who it is or where it is, if you're at this bar at night, another bar, and it's late, and they offer you a ride, somebody at the bar offers you a ride, whether you know them or not, do not take that ride. Please call an Uber. And she's like, what? And so I have to clarify. I say it again. And surprisingly, she was very receptive. Mm-hmm. And I explained what happened, and then I walked out. And I'm still bugged out by the whole thing. So I go back. I said, I did it. I told her, I don't know, I'm still seeing certain things. She goes, no, you got to disconnect it, because when you do use your psychic ability and you connect to certain things, I was given that message to give her the message.
Yeah, sure. You don't hang on to it afterwards. There's no point in it.
No.
I'm not going to hang out afterwards. But I was giving that to her, and I went back home. I talked to her. I said, she sent me something with the Holy Saint Michael prayer to kind of get you, sever that cord and bring the good light back to you. And then I said, the next day I'm going to go look into this. And I looked into the next day, and I saw her at the bar. And the next day I saw her playing and laughing at the beach, and I'm like, she's fine. Fast forward a bunch of months, I went back. There she was. She's like, thank you very much. You appreciate you. You actually did help me. Because someone was there, and apparently that girl never made it home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So somebody else was there.
Someone else got it.
Jeez.
I think the guy was arrested. I didn't really delve too much in it. I like to help people. I try to help people as best as I can. But when you got 2 kids and everybody coming to you, like, it's just insane. And you know it. I mean, when I get extra stuff, like, I called you, like, all right, I know you're playing around and you're freaking not doing what you're supposed to do. I'm going to give you a starter. And you text me back, holy crap, how did you know that? I'm like, I'm not doing this to spy on you, and I don't read you. But when I come into it, but the only people I read anybody my daughters hang out with and my daughters. Everybody else I don't. Because I can read it. When we talk, the way I operate is, if you're telling me this really cool story, blah, 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 and it's true, I'll see it play out in my head. I look like I'm watching a movie. And if you're it's black. So I'll go, that's a cool story, and I'll walk away like, full of shit.
No, I'm not one of those that
This
doctors.
guy's killing me. We're going to have to bleep out every other word here.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm sorry.
I did have a question regarding, obviously frequencies, and I know we've talked extensively in the past about the binaural sounds.
I love
the
those.
Salveggio frequencies and such. Do you want to touch upon that?
Yeah, I've been a big proponent of binaural beats. That's when it's like hemi-syncing your brain with different frequencies, theta waves, beta, and alphas, and each one, it helps you to get into a certain state. So relaxation, meditation, pep you up like caffeine, or get you into a meditative state, astral projection, where you kind of like on the border of sleeping. So I've been using them because I do not like guided meditations.
Oh, interesting. Why not?
I don't like to be told what to do. I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't.
Go on.
No.
It's just, I got to do it at my pace. It's kind of like being in a movie theater and someone talking about, can you shut up? I'm trying to watch. I don't like that. I'm trying to get to a point.
You do it with clinky bracelets. Yeah.
I took the damn bracelet off. But now, so I use them. I discovered them more so because I can get migraines. I got hit from behind 3 different separate incidences. Not really hard, but enough where I get migraines. And I discovered a ton of things. So I went, for headache relief, there's a headache one. I use binaural beats. I forgot the name of the company that does it. Bonsai Labs. It's free on
I think you recommended that. Yeah,
Right.
it's a good one.
because it offers you a variety of different things. It's a couple of free ones that are like, pep talk, excitement, meditation, relax. And look, we're all going through a ton of things. It's kind of hard to relax sometimes, but if you put headphones in and just hear, vibration, you'll get it. Like, your altered states. Let's see if we can get some of this. This is the mindful meditation. They look like that. And you get the media. Where the hell's the play button? I'm doing that. Okay, that's a mindful meditation. I actually use it a lot. And what that does is it combines 40 minutes worth of meditation with low, medium, high theta, low, medium, high alpha, and it gets me into a certain state quicker. And then you start to be able to remote view or meditate and get answers quicker.
So how do you go from the solfeggio to the Schumann resonance to all of that other
It's
stuff?
all about frequency, vibration, and resonance. Everything in this, I'm not doing this to pat myself on the back, but I did a couple of shows that are on Discovery Plus. One was Cryptid, which is Into the Unknown with Cliff Simon. Unfortunately, passed away a couple of years ago. And that was a Jersey Shore. That was Jersey Devil one.
Okay.
And the other ones are UFOs. UFO, Alien Invasion, Hudson Valley UFO. And then from that I got UFO Witness Season 2, Episode 2, towards the tail end. It scared the crap out of people that were on the set. It was great. But when I got interviewed, you do the audition with the producer. I said, I promise you I will be bringing craft that night. And they're like, yeah. And I said, I'm going to bring in craft. And I've discovered long ago that there is a relationship between sound, frequency, vibration, resonance. I'm not Nikola Tesla. And that is the Rosetta Stone for the entire paranormal and life. And if you get to the right frequency and resonance, the things you can do with it, you can levitate. You can change the direction of water with semantics or sand. The semantics where they change it. People now are taking little portable speakers, this is the coolest thing, and changing the frequency to give energy to the water they're drinking, and it actually...
Structured water, they call it.
Water.
Right, yes.
You were talking about using the copper in the ground. You talked about it. They use that for horticulture, so they put it in there. They also noticed that when you're tuned to certain frequencies, vibrating at a higher frequency, plants grow bigger. There was a gentleman that started with corn, and he started playing some, I forgot what the tunes were, classical music, and noticed that the ones that he was playing the music for, the corn was ginormous. So then he said, let me try it with watermelon. Watermelons beyond belief. And now he uses it with everything. I mean, it somehow it enhances the growth. It's a positive to produce it, and that's part of the different frequencies for Royal Rife, who did he used vibration, frequency, and resonance to destroy cancer cells and other cells. They're just doing it now because cancer is a billion, trillion-dollar industry. And why do I want to destroy your cancer when I could be feeding my kids off of you for the rest of your life? They already know that viruses, every cell, you resonate at a different frequency than me, and you can tune into just you. And the military knows all about this, and they can target individually.
So Lynn McFadden in the book The Field, I'm not sure if you've read it.
No.
She talks a little bit about how, and this was about resonance, how cancer people resonate very low, but MS people who have multiple sclerosis actually resonate too high, where they're turned on all the time, and that's where that sort of thing can sort of happen. Thoughts?
Well, it's really interesting. So one of the things they did, and this is interesting, I think she's right. So what's happening is the human body is one giant circuit, electric circuit. We have our own frequency, our own vibration. And the reason why they want to use certain feet apart is so they can tell who's who. From the sky, I'm in the sky, right? So when you have a problem or an issue, what's happening is, like, for example, MS, there's minerals and stuff that's getting caught or compacted in certain areas. Some people call it plaque, multiple sclerosis in the brain, right? Alzheimer's, whatever. Very interesting. I used, when I had migraines, I didn't buy all the hokey pokey stuff. I started using, no, seriously, I was like, whatever, anything to get rid of the migraine, because that's how bad it is. I took rare earth magnets and I put it on my forehead. 3 at the top, 1 on each temple, and 3 in the back. And basically, it got rid of my migraine. And I started thinking, iron in our blood, what if this is all collecting in certain areas and it's preventing the electric circuit from flowing through? That's why sometimes it's
like sediment almost. Yeah, interesting.
So that's why, like, some people with MS are always on. The people that with cancer are being plugged so they're not. And I remember saying to this to my dad probably 20 years ago. This was great. He thought I was nuts. I said, Dad, there's going to come a day when they're going to use these, because I would come in, he goes, what the hell's wrong with you? And I told, he didn't buy any of that stuff. I said, there will be a day when you put something on your head, like a magnet helmet, and it gets rid of MS, Alzheimer's, dementias, and all that. Because what it does is realign your body to vibrate at the proper frequency. And probably 10 years after I said it, I'm on the news and I'm listening, and there are people in Australia, doctors, that have put high-powered magnets on people's heads, instantaneously getting rid of dementia, Alzheimer's, having great success with MS. Because they're realigning. It's like, well, you bring your car in for alignment, so you get aligned properly.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's why the frequencies are important.
So how could somebody on a daily basis use those frequencies to heal themselves and put themselves in a better headspace and whatever else?
Oh, there's a ton. All you got to do is listen to them. There's another brother that uses bone conducting headphones, and what's great about bone conducting headphones is it's loud, but it's not too loud.
A holy brother?
Yes, a holy brother. And we're not going to go into the full frequencies, but a variety of frequencies. One would be for weight loss. One would be for eyesight. One would be for breathing. There's a variety. I might give you a list of different frequencies. And what they do is you listen to them, and the frequency itself tunes your body and makes you lose weight or see better or sleep better. I mean, I had a problem. I have eczema, psoriasis. Thanks, Grandma. Blame my family. And at one point, the doctor gave me like steroids for a month. So my blood sugar went to 502. They're like, you're going to the hospital. I'm not a diabetic, but they went there. I was worried about my eyesight losing because it was getting a little bit blurry. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Because diabetes, you lose eyesight, right? So this brother gave me a binaural beat that was strictly at certain hertz for your eyes. So I sat there and listened to it for a week. It worked. Hand to God.
Now you don't wear glasses anymore.
No, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I'm telling you, I'm fine right now. I always do that all the time. No, the blurriness went away. Everything was literally did change. And it's not, with a lot of stuff, it can be psychosomatic. If you tell people, like the placebo effect, it's not, I'm telling you, it worked.
Okay.
I've used it for other things.
I think I have that binaural beat. I'm going to try that. Because I had a little of the same issue going.
Try it. Just play for a week. Just put it in. It's kind of hard to find, even though we're doing all these things, trying to find time for like 20-minute binaural beat can be difficult at certain points. But yeah, they work.
One more question, because we're going to wrap up pretty soon here. But go ahead, Dave.
I'd like to go off the board for Disney for $500. No.
Yes.
So, rapid fire.
Oh,
With your remote viewing, have you ever looked at Antarctica?
Yes, I did. You were talking about.
okay, I'll tell
Found
you.
down there.
Snow.
There is an enormous sized pyramid. It is, like obscenely large, bigger than Manhattan Island, and it has this black stone on it, a little bit like polished.
Oh,
Like
Jesus,
basalt
snow
or
leopard.
that kind of...
Like something like that, really, really polished, but it's polished to the point where you can actually, at certain points, see through it, like it's almost like glass, and that does play a role on it. And I see it; it's there. There's grass around it. I've seen Antarctica before there was snow there, and within there are these different chambers, like roadways. And when I look into it, I see people traveling in there. And they're going underground. There is a race of people there. This also gives off electricity or free energy based thing. Very similar to what Eric was talking about with the pyramids, which we always came up to. I definitely thought there were batteries and with that theory, there's been many iterations of human being over time. So I have seen that. Yes, there's also one in Alaska that does the same thing.
Okay. And I think completely changing topics. If you It's like we'll go ADD on us right now, right?
Oh, look, it's Kurt.
Exactly. I was gonna say, so just getting back to some of the paranormal conversation.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, especially on a lot of the shows, you watch Ghost Hunters or some of these other things? I'm not trying to knock people, but personally, I always look at those shows and say, like, all right, these guys, like, they're just, it's so much drama and everything else. Like, when you've done your ghost hunts and such, do you think, to your point, the protection, because they're, like, literally trying to summon things that it's like, you shouldn't be tinkering with that. And it's just all theatrics, right?
Each group's different. Like, Zach, whatever. He's, and I liked them initially because it was the first time that you actually saw the brick fly. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it flew. Right. So it looked like, oh my God, they had some real stuff. And to credit to them, they have been a little bit more on the forefront, and the reason why we have some new technology. Mm-hmm. And they took the Xbox and they used to Connect to kind of see things, which I noticed that the minute I put my Connect on my TV, it tells you how many players, right? It says, they'll recognize me. And I've had, like, unknown by me. I'm like, wow, okay, I've got a ghost here. But it's a TV show. Mm-hmm. And I believe these guys do good work. But because it's a TV show, I think some of it has to be to a certain redone. Like you can't always have the camera on 24/7. Mm-hmm. Do you know how much evidence I lost because we never had the recorder on? I mean, we just can't. It would eat batteries left and right. There was so much tape. No one wants to edit that. So they have to recreate things, but it's, it's somewhat entertaining, mm-hmm. But with the guys on the TAPS, I think they're all right. He's the godfather of the paranormal. And it serves a purpose. I'm actually right now talking to two different producer developers because I want to do a show, and I'm sick and tired. I'm friends with a lot of these famous people. I don't want to see these people anymore. I want to bring in other fresh blood and different angle. So I'm trying to work on some shows. So I'm trying to do some paranormal investigating so I can have a sizzle reel, and then hopefully someone will pick it up.
Love that idea, cool. And definitely if you could include us in that.
100%.
I would love to get involved in that. So
100%.
You have on Moses and the.
And continuing the ADHD trend here. We mentioned earlier we ran into our last guest actually outside the podcast studio. Mm-hmm. The Moses and the burning bush. I know you mentioned earlier how. Let's just get into that quickly.
And I don't want to piss anybody off, but the burning bush was actually an acacia bush, and it has an extremely high concentration of DMT in it.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't know if... I believe in God, and I have never heard from God. I've gotten some responses in other ways, and I thank you for a lot of this stuff. But maybe that acacia was used so that he can actually talk to the Lord. Mm-hmm. But that is a trippy type of experience, when we use the term. This is why shaman and medicine men used to lick frogs or peyote buttons or whatever, because sometimes you have to go to the netherworld to actually get clarity. We've talked about ayahuasca and DMT, and they're using it now to actually combat addiction. And it's working in depression, and it's working wonders for people. Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Well, yeah. Any more? Or are you good?
No, I think...
You've had enough?
I think I've gone off the rails a little bit too...
You've gone off the
Sorry for talking so much, folks.
And I was gonna
No, this has been amazing, Brian, honestly.
And our cigar of the day was the Liga Privada Pancetta.
There it is. I just dropped mine on the floor, but there it is. Yes,
these are only sold at 2 shops in the world, actually. A shout out to Dave Mallow at Barrister Cigars in Union.
Very good place.
Right.
Great cigars. They're a blend of all the different Liga cigars, and it's a fantastic stick. So definitely check that out.
I'm going to highly recommend. My father knew you guys, the Drew Estate guys, very well, and Omar. Rest his soul. You guys should sponsor them.
I'm not kidding.
Sponsor them. A new cigar, new episode. and anybody that's a spirit company, sponsor them.
And we
Thank you very much.
We thank
Appreciate
you for
that very
joining
much.
us.
Yep.
And I know we have.
Bryan, it's such a pleasure.
Oh, I can't thank you guys enough. I know
Have you on
there's
here.
plenty of stuff to talk about, but I'll digress for now and shut my mouth.
We truly appreciate you coming on. Our
We'd
next
love to have you
episode.
back.
Anytime.
Yeah.
I'd like to be here in person, then, so maybe I'll just have to drive back up.
Well,
Absolutely.
we'd figure that out.
You know, at the end of September, I'll be doing a Bigfoot PA camping weekend over in Western PA. If you guys want to come up, I'm doing a workshop up there.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can figure that out. And
You know,
Thank
when
you so much.
I get this show,
Yeah.
look forward to it.
Oh,
You coming in?
absolutely. Appreciate that.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you again.
I have a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are
And,
Brothers of the Arcana. And
we are.
Our next episode will feature Timothy Hogan flying in from Colorado. So
Very
that should be
excited about
fantastic.
that. So we'll be talking about alchemy and all kinds of
yeah.
cool Templarism stuff. Sir Bryan.
I know you.
yes, I go by Sir Bryan. Everybody's like makes fun of it, but like, dude, I'm a Knight's Templar. I go by.
All the best. Thanks,
Sorry.
everybody. See you soon.